Salam sejahtera, selamat pagi and a very good morning to all. Welcome to Yang Berbahagia Dato Haslina Abdul Hamid, Secretary General of the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry, Tuan Khadijah Iskandar, covering President CEO of Agrobank, our honorable panelists, Encik Kamarul Muhamed, Founder and Chief Executive Officer of Aerodyne Group, and Mr. Tuan Ngee, Founder and Group Managing Director of Farm Fresh, Sdn Bhd. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Agro Insight webinar, Accelerating Transformation in Agriculture Through Technology. Let me introduce myself. I'm Choong, Head of Economics and Industry Research from Agrobank. Today, I shall serve you as the moderator for this session. Today, I'm very delighted to introduce to you our covering President CEO of Agrobank, Tuan Khadijah Iskandar, who is present with us today to deliver a special address, especially to our clients, agropreneurs, stakeholders, and participants from different backgrounds. Without any further delay, let me welcome Tuan Khadijah to deliver her speech. Over to you, Tuan.
Thank you, Kenny, for the introduction. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera. Very good morning and warm welcome to everyone. Yang Berbahagia Dato Haslina Abdul Hamid, Secretary General of the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry, our honorable panelists, Encik Kamarul Muhamed, Founder and CEO of Aerodyne Group, and Mr. Tuan Ngee, Founder and Group Managing Director of the wholesale milk company Sdn Bhd. Ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, I would like to personally welcome every one of you to today's webinar session, Agro Insight, Accelerating Transformation in Agriculture Through Technology. This is a very interesting topic for discussion, especially in the current operating environment, whereby food security has become a priority for us. And we are also proud to have a team of great panelists with us today to discuss and analyze a very interesting topic, which is very close to my heart as well, and reflects the future direction of Agrobank through its renewed vision, advancing agriculture beyond banking. On behalf of Agrobank, we are very honored to have Dato Haslina Abdul Hamid, Secretary General, Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry, or what we always refer to as MAFI, to be with us today to share some insight for the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry on what are the future perspectives thought for the agro industries in Malaysia, and ultimately to accelerate and transform the industry through technology use. Together with us today, we also have Encik Kamarul Muhamed, Founder and CEO of Aerodyne Group. I believe with years of experience in field from various sectors and industries, from Malaysia's first web TV to application development to financial services and even construction companies. He is the person that we need to look up to explore further on the potential of technology use for agriculture sector. Our third panelist for the day, Mr. Tuan Ngee, Founder and Group Managing Director of the wholesale milk company Sdn Bhd, Malaysia's #1 natural dairy brand, Farm Fresh. I believe through his sharing on this platform today, it will not only benefit our agropreneurs from the B40 group, but also help other agropreneurs to better understand on how Farm Fresh successfully adopted sustainability business practices as recycling solid and liquid waste, harvesting rainwater, and moving towards renewable energy to ensure the dairy is produced in a sustainable manner and have a positive impact to the earth. Ladies and gentlemen, through this platform as well, I would like to take this opportunity to share some of the initiatives that Agrobank is currently embarking that will benefit the agro community as a whole in transforming agri-finance and beyond together. In 2021, Agrobank is embarking on our 5-year business plan, Strategic Business Plan SBP 2021 to 2025, that will serve as our guiding light in the creation of value for a wider range of stakeholders. Our renewed vision encapsulates our aspirations by infusing new elements into our business model. Agrobank will be focusing on 4 strategic focus areas, which are number 1, sound agriculture development, and number 2, inclusive customer focus, number 3, transformative business models, and 4, sustainable financial condition. Some of our new ventures will also include agriculture takaful, investment management, and e-marketplace, which will create a virtual environment that facilitates trading and the provision of other value-added services for our customers. Our existing training and advisory capabilities, which from current experience has clearly met an existing gap in the agricultural sector, will be expanded further. Growing our market share in the traditional banking space will continue unabated, but will have a greater emphasis on ensuring food security, supporting underserved communities, and developing high-potential agriculture segments. Agrobank will also advocate the social and environmental agenda by practicing a developmental approach that puts sustainability at the forefront. Thus, our programs going forward will be inclusive as we empower the B40, youth, women, and ASNAF while driving greater adoption of technology and modern farming. This approach is also in line with the value-based intermediation or VBI agenda, which calls on all Islamic banks to create a positive and sustainable impact for all its stakeholders. Ladies and gentlemen, Agrobank is a development financial institution with a primary focus on strengthening the agriculture sector in Malaysia, recently unveiled its Ringgit Malaysia 1 billion Sukuk Wakalah program based on Islamic principle of Wakalah by Al-Istithmar. This announcement reaffirms our commitment to Malaysia's development as a regional Islamic financial center and demonstrates the depth of Malaysian Sukuk capital market. The proceeds from the Sukuk issuance will be utilized for the working capital requirements, general investments, and or to refinance any existing financing of Agrobank, which are Sharia compliant, hence steering the growth of the bank in the post-pandemic era. Our aim is to establish stable funding by securing lower costs of medium and long-term funding. We would also like to share that RAM Sustainability Senior Berhad has assigned environmental benefit or EB rating to the Sukuk program. 3 green solutions within Agrobank's sustainable Sukuk framework are: 1 is sustainable water and wastewater management, and number 2, environmentally sustainable management of living natural resources and land use, and number 3, terrestrial and aquatic biodiversity conservation. Have been assigned to also, Agrobank has also been assigned EB rating. RAM Sustainability also assigned social benefits ratings to social solutions under the same framework. In future, Agrobank plans to issue sustainable Sukuk to finance and or to refinance existing businesses and projects that promote any of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs. The framework facilitates financing for projects and solutions that are crucial for a sustainable future. The issuance proceeds will be used to fund green and social projects with direct positive implications in promoting SDGs, especially 5 of them, which are SDG number 2, Zero Hunger, SDG number 6, Clean Water and Sanitation, SDG number 8, Decent Work and Economic Growth, SDG 9, Industry, Innovation and Infrastructure, and SDG 15, which is Life on Land. Although sustainability Sukuk is viewed positively, Agrobank is still at nascent stage of its sustainability journey. We hope, ladies and gentlemen, we hope that this webinar session becomes a gateway for greater insight for our agropreneurs in generating new ideas into their businesses and adopting technology into their businesses. It may not happen overnight, but when one is open to learn and relearn, it will make its way to success, inshallah. Thank you.
Indeed, I must agree with you, Tuan, that success doesn't come overnight. It takes a lot of hard work, strategic planning, and most importantly, is the right guidance. We learn and relearn from other experiences and must be bold enough to explore further. So I believe these are the core values that our fellow panelists hold. And today, they are here with us to share their thoughts, knowledge, and their experiences in what they do best, tips for success, and how to speed up the transformation via technology in the agriculture space. Now, let me invite our honored panelists to take the floor. Our first speaker, Her Excellency Yang Berbahagia Dato Haslina, Secretary General of Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry. Salam sejahtera and good day to you, Dato. Dato has extensive experiences in various fields, including finance and administrations, policy and human resource management. She has served as Deputy Secretary General Policy, MAFI, and prior to that, she has served as the Deputy Secretary General Tourism. In total, she has about 25 years of experience in the civil service. I'm very lucky today, Dato, as I'm able to share this platform to discuss on a very interesting and forward-looking topic of our webinar, and Dato will share her perspective on how the government policy helps to support the agriculture transformation via technology. Thank you for being with us today, Dato.
Thank you, Mr. Kenny.
Thank you, Dato.
Yeah.
Good to see you here.
Thank you. Right.
Yeah.
Please.
Our second panelist, Kamarul, founder and chief executive officer of Aerodyne Group, named as the EY Entrepreneur of the Year 2020, a technopreneur at heart. Kamarul left the corporate world to pursue his passion in technology and digital innovation. So we hope to have more of your kind, Kamarul, to involve in the agriculture industry. He founded Aerodyne in 2014, starting off as a company specializing in area imaging. Aerodyne now has over 400 drone professionals operating in the unmanned aerial vehicle UAS services sector across 35 countries globally. Since the inception, Aerodyne has pivoted to data intelligence, integrated solutions, and later he will share more with us on this topic. Welcome, Kamarul.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me today. I'm deeply honored to be on the same stage with all the other panelists as well.
Thank you. And comes to our third panelist, Mr. Loy Tuan Ee, one of the well-respected agropreneur, Farm Fresh CEO and founder. With Farm Fresh product available in all major cities in Malaysia, this is what we can observe from the hypermarket shelf, right, Mr. Loy? And Mr. Loy and his partner pioneered in innovative distribution method that would allow rural Malaysians to discover natural goodness too. And with that, we will hear from him later about his technical support and access to innovative technology which improve the milk yield and quality and further to the benefits in the agriculture space. Welcome, Mr. Loy.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
All right. Without further ado, I will kickstart this session with the first question. Yeah, we go more on the relaxed mode, Dato. So first question goes to Yang Berbahagia, Dato. How is MAFI driving the industrial revolution for technology adoption across the agriculture sector, Dato? All right. Yeah. Thank you, Dato, for sharing with us with smart and high-value agriculture has been identified as one of the key economic growth activities in the Share Prosperity Vision 2030 and the 7th initiative that has been identified under the National IR Policy. So with that, I'm of the view that Malaysia can go further in this area. All right. So now next questions, we'll pass it to Kamarul. seems that precision agriculture is gaining importance very quickly, especially in the big scale production. For example, the use of satellite images, remote sensing, drones, automated machines, so etc. Will precision agriculture be useful for the future and for the sustainability of agriculture? Encik Kamarul?
Yeah, definitely. Before that, can I check that you all can hear me? Because
yes, yeah, we can.
Okay, good. Right. Yeah, I think precision agriculture is the only way forward to go. You know, now we are in the era of Industry 4.0 revolution. You know, and precision agriculture is actually IR 4.0 for agriculture. You know, and this is a stark contrast to what is traditionally perceived as a traditional industry. You know, in the agriculture.
Yeah.
So this digital transformation is what we need now. You know, how we can now start to address agriculture in the sense that we less reliance on luck. We put us in total control. We are constantly connected. We can do predictive. We can do prescriptive analytics using all kind of sensors. It's not just limited to drone as well. Drone is just one of the sensors. We are talking about sensor fusion. You know, we are talking about automation. We are talking about having deep insights into agriculture operation itself. I mean, I'm very excited with what Dato mentioned earlier, and also the Tuan CEO mentioned about, you know, moving for digital transformation and all that. And this is to me not an option, because if you look at what transformation entails, or rather what is the objective of transformation, it's simple. It's doing things faster, better, cheaper, and safer. You know, if you look at the simplest form, the precision agriculture will do mechanization. So mechanization will replace labor, for example, right? And using labor will come with a lot of challenges as well. If you look at Malaysia, because of the pandemic, it has actually accelerated the growth of using this drone system and all that as well, because we are now running short of labor. If you look at labor itself, there's a lot of problem that comes into it. And of course, using drone, and this is the most exciting part as well. You know, we are doing this in a modern way, you know, in a disruptive modern way. Imagine that we can have, you know, detailed insights into our crop. We can have detailed insights into our land that we are using to grow our crops. You know, so with this, we can actually run our operation with knowledge, with insights, and we can do intervention. The whole idea of precision agriculture is about you know, improving yield and managing costs. And this transformation does not just end at the plantation itself or at the field where we are doing this, but also complete value chain within the agriculture process as well. So in short, in summary, to me, precision agriculture is the only way to go. You know, it is not really an option. If you were to look at today, you know, we are talking about food security. We are talking about how Malaysia today, you know, we import more than 50 billion every single year. That's actually 1 billion every week, roughly, you know. And to me, I have clarity. I have clear objective that how precision agriculture can help towards solving our food security and also our reliance in foreign in labor, shortage of labor, and most importantly, is actually moving towards increasing our yield as well. So it's not an option, it's the only way forward. Sorry, Kenny, I can't hear you.
The way forward, yeah, thanks again for your perspective that precision agriculture is definitely the way forward on the back of new technology, has given us the capability to look at from different areas. Right now, manuring, pests, and disease management can be done efficiently and more targeted, right, Encik Kamarul? Thank you. So our next questions goes to Mr. Loy. The level of adoptions of technology and innovations in the dairy industry, for example, in New Zealand and United States, are complex, advanced, and extensive. How about in Malaysia? Can you share with us the innovative technology that has been adopted in your industry, Mr. Loy?
Yeah. Good morning. Salam sejahtera. And then to Dato KSU. Haslina. So for me, I think the sharing of the dairy industry in terms of the technologies that being adopted, right? I think it is only the major dairy player, or rather the major farmers, has the ability to invest. But unfortunately, all our smallholders, right? Our smallholders farmers, most of them are still a very, very traditional farmers. In our case, I think we are in this dairy industry for almost decades now. Mm-hmm. And in our farm, for example, we have adopted a fair bit of technologies that is applicable. Because in tropical dairy context, I think we are very different from those, say, for example, in Europe or in Australia, New Zealand. I think the systems are quite different. Mm-hmm. So in our case, let's say, for example, in Muazzam, we adopted the tunnel barn technologies, whereby we actually, run the air through the farm to actually keep our milking cow ventilated and to cool them down, for example. And then, for example, we also invested on rotary milking station with 60 bale. This is something that when you go up to the scale, you cannot be possibly milking 1,000 over cow, like the whole day long. So in this case, every 1 hour, we have the capability to milk about 400 of them. And more important, that system comes with the RFID tags, for example, that are able to pick up all the information, as to how much these cows are producing. And then all the programs are actually being programmed in such a way that if that cows finish milking, if she goes up, if there is, we need to attend to her, for example, all this, she can be drafted out to be attended to. The one thing that we actually pay a lot of attention is basically the genetic part of our business, because as I say that, you cannot actually run on the Bos Taurus, which is the temperate cow in our part of the world. It's very, very challenging due to the weathers, which is very hot and humid. So 8 years ago, we actually had the privilege to acquire Australian Friesian Sahiwal genetic exclusively from Australia, which was developed by the Queensland government way back in the late 60s and the early 70s. So that formed a base of our reproductions, as well as to be able to do the dairy farming in a very sustainable manner in the tropic. So what happens is that after accumulating the amount of data that we have, we actually now go on to invest on the IVF technologies, whereby we actually, let's say, for example, traditionally, the IVF technologies will enable us to do to collect the eggs, and then what we do is that we actually fertilize them, and then we freeze the embryo to be transferred to a surrogate mother. If you use a conventional system, for example, just AI, the top 5 or 10% of our super genetic dairy cow in our farm will only be able to give you 1 calf a year, right? But by adopting the IVF technologies, what we did is that we take her out, we get able to flush maybe 15, 20 eggs out of her, and then from there, we fertilize it, and then we transfer to the other surrogate mothers to actually propagate those top genetic that we have in our farm. So these are some of the things that I think adaptations of technologies, let's say, will actually speed up our genetic pools. We are of the view that maybe another 7 to 10 years, it will be a game changer for us, because all our farms, dairy herds are of the top genetic, for example. So that is something that is important to us. And the other things like, total mixed ration, so how do you actually blend the feed, the ability to identify the different cows, to feed them correctly. And these are the things that, which is applicable. We are adopting all these technologies as well, yeah.
All right. So the IVF, reproduction techniques, ultrasound, pregnancy diagnostic, and cloud herd management system. So this sounds really amazing. Yeah, the way we hear from you is that we are actually not too far off from the developed countries in terms of technology in the dairy industry, Mr. Roy. This is really impressive. So now, drone helps farmers to optimize the use of inputs, fertilizer, seeds, water, to respond more quickly to risks, like, for example, weeds, fungi, pests. However, amid the pandemic, most of the farmers find it challenging to invest in the new technology. The cost of the drone would be too costly right now. So how can the drone technology generate interest, or how we can convince the local farmers or entrepreneurs at this time to go for this technology transformation? So I guess this question goes well to Encik Kamarul.
The cost, and of course, number two, how do we accelerate this? So I think the answer to both, to start with, is always seeing is believing, right? To of course promote adoption, you know, we need to prove the technology. And fortunately, this is not a new thing. You know, we already have proven example, you know, proven success story. In Malaysia alone, we only just started 1 year ago. Aerodyne started off doing critical infrastructure and a lot of other solutions. We only started agriculture 1 year ago, and today we already have close to 200 people now working on agriculture alone, and we are targeting to go to 2,000. So this growth came about from us actually already delivering real value to our customer.
I see.
So not just from the mechanization, because a lot of our, for example, palm plantation companies are having labor issue. We came in, we already, you know, displaced a lot of the, you know, the foreign labor by using our drone technology. And of course, it's all also about showing the effectiveness of the technology itself. To your second question about the cost, and this is something that we have been cracking our head as well. How can we actually assist with this cost matter? And truth to be told, right now the cost of the drones are actually expensive. You know, we are talking about at least 20 to 30,000, or the good one, we're talking about 50 to even 70,000 per unit. So it is expensive. So for a lot of farmers, it is a big investment that they needed to do. Because of that, we came up with a different model. Instead of them buying those drones, use services that we are offering. So there's no capex requirement from them. That's number one. And number two, we are also looking at the perspective of introducing this technology. So to be honest, this is our contribution to the nation, our contribution to the industry. When we are looking at cost, we should really be looking at the long-term benefit as well. If you do direct comparison right now, it's actually either equal or slightly more expensive, right? Because of the cost of hardware itself. But if we look at the benefit that the drone technology actually bring to this as well, you will realize that in the mid to long term, there's actually already a huge cost saving. Why? Because of the effectiveness of your applications of labor. And also because we are already inputting a lot more integrity into the application itself. And I think it's a common knowledge that doing this manually with labor and all that, it is not the most effective one. You know, I mean, the integrity of applications is questionable. And when people are actually walking throughout the paddy field, for example, there's the risk of spreading diseases and all that. So when we are flying using the drone, you have full data of when it's done and how it's done, and you have the whole season of these activities on your dashboard. So imagine now the farmers are actually modern farmers. They have their iPad, they can see all of these activities, and they also have that detailed insights into the health of the operation as well. So it is not just about drones, it's about looking at how the effectiveness of the operation. So direct answer, in summary, to your question about the cost, absolutely, it is expensive right now. But what Aerodyne is doing right now is that, hey, don't worry about buying those drones. You know, you come and work with us, and we're also looking at creating jobs for people in the rural area. If they have their drone, they can just use our system, we train them and all that. If they don't, they can lease those drones from us and they can operate. So it's like an Uber driver or Grab driver. Now they are actually a drone pilot. And we are actually looking at actually training them, certifying them so that these whole operations are done legally. So again, cost-wise, we need to look at the cost-benefit analysis, not just cost-by-cost comparison. So this is something that we are very comfortable with. We know that real value can be gained out of using this technology.
Okay, this is definitely good news for farmers in Kamarul, that they no longer take have to fork out with the big capitals to buy drones and train pilots and maintaining them with the engagement with your companies. Okay, thank you, Encik Kamarul. So I guess our next question goes back to Dato, Yang Berbahagia. So what are the current initiatives and collaborations with other agencies led by MAFI to speed up the digital culture adoptions, and if there are any specific initiative for the younger generation? Yang Berbahagia, Dato.
Thank you again, Mr. Kenny. I was informed that during my first question, there was a technical. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, Dato.
Very good, very good. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in order to increase the adoption rate of technology and digital culture, there are projects that have been proven to be successful and can be replicated, such as smart fertigation system for chilies in PPK, Kuala Langat. PPK is Pertubuhan Peladang Kawasan. And for everyone's info, this project is actually a collaboration with the MDEC, Malaysian Digital Economy Corporation, and this hopefully will pave way of digital transformation in the agriculture sector. And this collaboration is certainly a game changer. And MAFI, our Kementerian, has its open door for future collaboration and strategic partnership to further develop and modernize the agriculture sector. Well, if we are looking at in terms of agriculture technology, the development, currently we have several proof of concept projects here. And of course, with the high-tech farming methods which involve the IoT, which has been mentioned earlier by Kamarul and the other panel, with the high-tech farming methods as well as precision tools, such as drones, robotics, sensors, undertaken by our agencies, MRD, Malaysian Agriculture Research and Development Institute, Department of Agriculture, and Bioeconomy Corporations, all agencies under the ministry. And this will serve as a showcase to the rakyat on the viability of technology adoptions in agriculture. Of course, when we are talking about technology adoptions, there is definitely a price to pay. So we at MAFI realized that amongst the challenges in technology adoptions are the high initial cost and the lack of financing. Therefore, MAFI through the Malaysian 12 plan has embarked on several initiatives focusing on the modernization of agri-food along the food value chain. So as we can see under the budget for 2021, under the agro-food value chain modernization program, about around 60 million has been allocated to Agrobank to provide a soft loan for entrepreneurs so that they can afford to venture toward the 4IR technology. And another thing you did mention about the young generation, So in order to encourage more participations of young generation, we do have our young agropreneur program. They call it program Agropreneur Muda, that offer grants and of course soft loans, that they can begin their digital agriculture journey as a career. And we also encourage the young entrepreneur to upskill and reskill digital talents to spur the digital agriculture adoptions across the sectors. So as for now, we have benefited, I think about close to 7,500 participants that has been in the programs up till now across all the sectors under agriculture. Back to you, Mr. Kenny.
All right, thank you, Dato, for your insightful sharing with us on our national projects and initiatives that pave ways for digital transformation in agriculture sector and to encourage the participation of the younger generation especially. Thank you, Dato. Now, the next question goes to Mr. Loy. On average, the feed cost is about 70 to 80% of the total production cost. Considering the feed material prices such as palm kernel cakes, corn, and soybean are much higher at this moment against the backdrop of the global commodity upcycle. How the technologies adopted by the company able to assist in minimizing the overall production costs? Yeah, Mr. Lloyd, please.
Yeah, I think in terms of application of technologies, I think they are quite limited in terms of how much you can actually improve on those cost pressure that have impacted the industry. For example, the corn price, almost double, soybean price, everything have gone up.
Yeah.
So,
right.
For example, in our farm, I think we are probably in a better age compared to smaller farmers because we adopted the total mixed ration. So, by adopting the particular technologies, in a sense that I think we have software to identify which are the feeds, of a different feed value as to how to derive in terms of what ration that we wanted to replace or substituted with another feed, for example. And I think the more important part of it is that the ability of doing the total mixed rations that gave us a very precise feeding. The dairy cow have got different stages. You have, different lactation periods, high performers, and then the low producer and dry cow, for example. So by adopting a total mixed rations method, we would then be able to feed, we don't want to be underfeed the cow that are producing or underfeed, overfeed some of the cows that don't require that much of things. So I think adopting in that sense does help us to minimize the unnecessary wastages about it. But I think the cost pressures of the feed is very, very, I think it's a real pressure to all our fellow farmers across the country.
Yeah, it's good to know from you, Mr. Lloyd. Now we get to know more about mixed ration, precision feeding, and technology can play a part to minimize some impact from the high feed cost. Thank you, Mr. Lloyd. Yang berbahagia, Dato', I heard that the ministry will soon launch the Agro Food Policy 2.0, which is we call NAP 2.0. So how this policy will support all the efforts that have been mentioned by you earlier, Yang berbahagia, Dato'?
Yeah. Thank you again, Mr. Kani. Like what I mentioned earlier, the National Agro-Food Policy 2021 until 2030 that has been approved recently, that was last August. In short, NAP 2.0 is actually a new agro-food policy as a continuation to the National Agro-Food Policy earlier. We call it 1.0 earlier to 2011 until 2020. Yeah, so basically this policy is designed after considering the current situation of the national agro-food sector, previous achievement and challenges, and the direction of the sector for the next 10 years. So in formulating this NAP 2.0, we have referred to more than 40 national policies, and we also made sure that this policy is actually in accordance with the FAO, the Food Agriculture Organizations and United Nations Agenda 2030 on the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. And this policy addresses the challenges in the water and land resources, value chain, workforce, technology applications, climate change, governance, infrastructure, and investment, increasing demand, dietary changes, and food security issues. So therefore, our focus is not only to cater for the national, but also at the international aspirations. So basically in NAP 2.0, the emphasis is actually given to the modernization strategies and smart agriculture. And we would like to improve the productions of agro-food commodities through the application of technology in order to meet the target of the self-sufficiency level, SSL, by the next, by 2030. 10 years' time. So at the same time, we also encourage the involvement and participation, like what I mentioned earlier, the young generation, so that we can reduce our dependencies on the foreign workers, in the sector. And guided by this new policy, the ministry will increase our effort to ensure that the technology adoptions in the entire agri-food value chain. And I hope that all initiatives that will be carried out by MAFI, inshallah, and its agencies will bring the positive outcomes to the agriculture sectors in the next 5 to 10 years in the future. Yeah.
Thank you, Dato, for your perspective. Now we understand the use of technology will improve the productions of agro-food commodities and to meet the target of the self-sufficiency level, SSL, by year 2030. At the same time, encourage the involvement and participations of the young generation and will reduce, more importantly, is our dependency of foreign workers in these sectors. Thank you, Dato. Next question, I think it fits well for Encik Kamarul. Unmanned aircraft has become central to the functions of various businesses and governments, organizations. Is it possible that this technology can help in reducing the cost of labor or perhaps the dependency on foreign labor like we are talking, Dato was mentioning just now? In your perspective, Encik Kamarul.
Thank you. Again, I'm very excited with what Dato Casey mentioned just now. I just give a simple fact. Just in the past 5 months, we already displaced 500 foreign labor by using our drone-based automation. And we can easily scale this to 5,000 or even 50,000 in the near future. The more we scale out this, not just aerial drones, we are talking about rovers on the ground, various robotic solutions and all that. So this is something to me that is very, very exciting. So technology can clearly, and it's already been proven that we can actually displace this over-reliance on foreign labor. And I also like what was mentioned earlier as well about making agriculture sexy again. Right now people are thinking of agriculture as being dirty, dangerous, demeaning. The young generation sort of migrate to the town, to the cities. Perhaps I think the time is now for us to actually attract them to go back. Let's do reverse migration. So we make by the use of technology, by use of modern farming. This new generation can be using their iPad, controlling their drones from there. And then get all of these insights. This is Industry 4.0. So we can actually not only uplift the creating jobs, the economic situation in the rural area. We are creating these jobs. I can actually reduce that reliance on foreign labor. If we can move away from that perception that agriculture is cheap labor industry, So this is no longer dirty, dangerous, demeaning. This is modern, this is futuristic, this is exciting. People, youngsters today are using their phone and iPad. Now they can use the same tools that they love, but yet doing it for our nation, for agriculture, basically. So definitely, I mean, this is our vision too. Our vision is actually to advance humanity through drone intelligence. So I can see the alignment with what Agrobank was doing earlier as well. Yes, it's very much aligned. So I think this is without a doubt that technology can help this problem statement that we have.
Thanks for your wonderful sharing, Encik Kamarul. That yes, using technology, we can definitely reduce the dependency on foreign labor, which bodes well for our national agenda. Now, as we are discussing about the technology and innovation in dairy industry, in present and the prospect future, we have to look at from the training perspective, human resources aspect. For example, in New Zealand, they have the education program specifically in the dairy technology, which to provide the essential technical skill and daily industry specific knowledge. Do you think it is crucial for the industry to have employees with this education background in order to support the adoptions of technology and innovation way forward? So I guess this question fits in well for Mr. Loy.
I think, to me, I think the educations of the training to the new incoming people into this industry, I think is very, very crucial as well. And I was actually made as a members of the review in UPM board for their agriculture student. And I think that is a very good thing in a sense that you get industry to actually feedback what we actually need, you know, the kind of graduate that you actually come out from university, they should be able to be field ready and equipped with the technologies or the know-how that is relevant in today's context. The worlds are really changing very, very fast. There are many angles that things are actually changing. Not only, I think, from the particular dairy industry, I think overall things are really changing. So I think while we are talking about, you know, technologies also, we have to be mindful as well, the ESG part of it, just like, you know, the environmental aspect in terms of sustainability and all this. I think all these have to be taken into consideration. So I think in our case, so we encourage generally about 70 to 80 of these individuals that come to our farm, whereby, you know, we actually train them the aspects of the dairy farming context in our farm. So this is where when they graduate, say when they go up to the field, they're actually a field ready. So I think it's important that that as what Dato KSU just now was saying, that, you know, I think MAFI can play a lot of role in a sense that the agropreneurs and all this, you know, you want to attract the smart people to come in to do agriculture, right? You know, so it should not be viewed as that, wow, this is a very, very job that I wouldn't want to get involved, for example. So I think agriculture is business as well. In today's context, if you are producing good food, for example, and I think that, you know, you can actually build up the brand. It's just like what we found Fresh did in the past, you know, that we comes out essentially in the markets are mostly milk powder, and today when we offer fresh milk category, we are actually consumers start to appreciate. So I think the learning institutions should be able to continue to be relevant in terms of the adaptations of the new technologies and the know-how, for example, and get the student come out and eventually can become a farmers as well. Yeah.
Okay, yes, yeah, Mr. Loy, we must agree with you that learning institution must be able to teach relevant subjects and prepare their graduates to be field ready. Yeah. Here, actually, we have a special request. Maybe just now we hardly hear Dato. So I guess I will post again this question to Dato. Okay, the question is, Dato, how is MAFI driving the industrial revolution for technology adoptions across the agriculture sector? Yeah, Dato.
What is the question again, Mr. Kenny?
All right. Question number one, Dato, that just now maybe some of the audience have missed.
Oh, okay.
So we'd like to hear more from you again, okay?
Right.
Question number one.
Yeah.
How is MAFI driving industrial revolution for technology adoption across the agriculture sector? Dato?
Okay, thank you again, Mr. Kenny. Just to repeat again, that in the context of the 4IR technology adoptions, there are 7 initiatives that has been identified under the national 4IR policy, which involve against the infrastructure, open data platform, and establishing the farm-to-house digital marketplace. So these actually will allow farmers to sell directly to the customers and therefore enable the traceability requirement. And we at MAFI giving special attentions toward pushing technology adoptions across the agriculture sectors. And like what I mentioned earlier, we are in the discussion with the Ministry of Communication and Multimedia and also the MCMC, the Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commissions, to extend the broadband coverage in the agricultural area. Well, this is actually will enable the adoptions of OIR technologies more conveniently. So basically, that's all about it.
All right. Thank you, Dato, for sharing with us that smart and high-value agriculture has been identified as one of the key economic growth activities in the Shared Prosperity Vision 2030. Right? And the most important thing is the seven initiatives that has been identified under the National IR4 policy. With that, I'm of the view that Malaysia can go further in this area. Yeah, thank you, Dato. All right, now commercial usage of drones is gaining steady momentum as a multiple industry are working with drones as part of their daily regular business function. As the sales of the public drone rise, especially amongst the millennials, the safety concern surrounding them among the regulators and law enforcement agency also tends to go up. So as the pioneer of this drone technology, how can we ensure that this technology can continue to evolve, become safer, and more dependable to entrepreneurs? Another question is there any strict legislations, limitation, guidance from the government surrounding the drone technology? I think this question best goes to Encik Kamarul.
Sure, definitely. Thanks, Kenny. It's a very it's a good question to ask, basically. Right now, we operate in many countries around the world, 35 countries altogether, and we have seen regulation evolve over time. Some are restrictive, some are very open, but they have one thing in common. All of them are always about enhancing safety. It's about safe sharing of airspace. Because when you fly drone, you're sharing this with the manned aircraft as well. It's about that. It's about safety. It's about doing it. It's about privacy as well, privacy concerns and whatnot, right? So back to our home country, back to in Malaysia. I'm also very excited that Civil Aviation Authority in Malaysia today are actually, number one, they are doing a good job in making sure that this safe sharing of airspace again is being adhered to by everyone, right? So at the same time, currently we are putting, the country, the regulators are putting a lot of system and processes in place. Like for example, certifying the pilots, getting them properly trained, what they can do, what they cannot do. And when you talk about agriculture, it's not just about flying those drones itself, because you are handling chemicals and all that. So all of these are under the HSC system that we need to comply with as well. So the regulations are there. But at the same time, regulations in Malaysia are also quite restrictive. It's actually very difficult to get this thing operating well. So I would say when you see those drones are flying out there today, right now, most of them are doing this illegally. So what Aerodyne has been doing to champion this is actually to legalize this operation. We've been talking with CAAM. Soon there will be an announcement of RPTO, which is the authorized drone training organization, so that we can then get these pilots trained and certified to fly as well. Then we can start enforcing all of these things, And then I think at the same time, CM is also already doing various advisory, visiting all of these operators and all that, making sure that it is being done in the same manner. Personally, I've seen how dangerous it can be. I've seen people, I go down covertly and then see how it's being done. It is because most of the people they're not trained, they do not know. They only see this as a machine that they can use to do their work, right? But they do not have that drone background.
I see.
And that's actually a very serious thing. But again, I think I'm looking at the RPTO will be announced by end of the year or before end of the year. And maybe we can look forward to a very organized and safe operation comes 2022. So yes, there are already regulation in place, and there are already steps that are being done to actually make this into a safe operation so that we can scale them in a big way. Right now, we have pockets of operations here and there, throughout the country. So I'm looking at a time where this can be a professional career opportunity for a lot of the youngsters as well, and yet at the same time contribute significantly to the growth of our agriculture industry.
Thank you very much for your perspective, Encik Kamarul. Right. Going back to this dairy industry, Mr. Loy, because we heard from you that that there are new technologies here, but at this juncture, what are the challenges or issues that our dairy industry companies are experiencing in adopting the new technologies? Yeah, Mr. Loy.
Yeah, I think in our case, right, we started from 60 cows in Kota Tinggi, Johor, as then we progressed to today, to more than 6,000 across 5 of our farm in Peninsula. Now, I think the biggest setback of these technologies is that I think first you must have the scale. If you are scaling up, then I think the technologies will serve you well. In our case, let's say, for example, I think the challenges here, number one, is the cost of the automation, or rather the cost of technologies are very expensive. That's one thing. And second thing is also because it is very fairly advanced system, and these are all commissioned by the overseas suppliers, engineers, for example. So they can set up, let's say, for example, our rotary milking stations are so automated, with all the chips and everything that is running, milking 400 cows an hour. And dairy farming is 24/7, right? There's no off. For us, every day, 365 days, our cows need to be milked. There's no other way about it. So it is important that to ensure that equipments that you invest, for example, they are all functioning at a tip-top condition, because otherwise, what happens if you are not able to service? So, if cost of investment is one thing, and second thing also, you got to have a very good team. Your engineering teams have to be very strong. Your engineers are very good. Your electricians, your things like that. So that will also ensure that that the whole farm operation running very smoothly. So the challenge to a small farmers, I think, probably that is something that they will probably, because they doesn't have those because like our team, for example, we have a complete teams. We have all segments of expertise that we require to ensure that all our farms are running very smoothly. So this is going to be a challenge for our small dairy farmers in terms of adopting the technologies, as well as to maintain it is another one big problem. Yeah.
So at this moment, Mr. Loy will have all the new technology has been adopted in your dairy, that you will face lesser kind of impact of this.
Correct. Yeah. So I think our team, we have a very strong teams over the years. We have built up, in all segments of our dairy operations, whether it's from feedings to reproductions, or even to milking team, for example. So they are all very, very well versed. And then we also have practices that the best of the farm practices in one farm will also be rotated to other farms. So sometimes that particular person who has very good knowledge will run around to train other team, or either the other farm will come over to this farm for training. So I think because we have the scale, so our operations are slightly different vis-a-vis, dairy farmers have 30 cows or 50 cows, for example. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Loy. So I guess now we open the questions to the audience. And yeah, Dato, Yang Berbahagia Dato. So there's one question that is very high request for your attention. So the question sounds very interesting. Yeah, and like what you mentioned earlier also is almost the same thing. Right. What is the technology used to increase the sustainable SSL level in for the national agenda, Dato?
Thank you, Annie.
Yeah.
Self-sufficiency level, very interesting questions.
Yeah, you can apply to all.
Right. This is an extremely important component toward achieving our food security. Yeah. And as for the SSL, the country's staple food supply of rice is expected to increase from 63% to 80% under the new policy. So in this regard, MAFI has taken an early step through the implementation of the large-scale smart paddy field, the program where involve about 150,000 hectares of rice granaries in the country, with the target of increasing the average yield per hectares from 3.5 metric tons to 7 metric tons during the 12 Nation Plan.
Paddy field, Dato.
Say again?
It's paddy field, is it?
Yeah, this is more on paddy field, a special program to increase our SSL. So we are now at the 63, around that figure, but we are looking to have a better yield in the future. So basically, I will divide into a few sectors. So for crop subsectors, namely fruits and vegetable, the focus is of course increasing SSL, especially of course to increase the incomes of our farmers from the median of around 2,000 ringgit to around 4,000 ringgit per month. So strategies has been outlined, include the use of genome, editing technology and biotechnology. So this will increase the high value commodities as well as the good agriculture practice. The MyGap certification that we ask them to get. So that is actually for the subsectors in crops. About the livestock industry, of course, our main goal again to increase SSL of beef up to 50%, and fresh milk close to 100%. Basically, this is to reduce importations, because we are still depending on some of the sectors, depending on the imports, and all of these actually to increase our food security through the other objective like disease control and good livestock practice. And among the major effort that will be implemented under the strategies also to increase the growth of livestock industry, especially ruminants, and through the we are about to create the National Ruminant Board, which is expected to operate hopefully next year by 2022. And meanwhile, for the fishery sector and aquaculture industries, the main goal is to overcome the problem of depletion of fishery resources and increase SSL from 93% to 98%. And again, to increase the income level of fishermen from the medium of about around 2,000 ringgit to basically up to 5,000 plus minus 5,000 ringgit a month. So among the key strategies is actually to balance the ratio of marine aquaculture fish lendings with a 60-40 ratio, and balancing our fish sources in the market with the aim to shift the fish consumption pattern from marine fisheries to a more balanced proportions of marine fisheries, inland fisheries, and as well as aquaculture. So basically our initiatives towards the increasing the SSL and self-sufficiency levels in all sectors.
Okay, very, very insightful and very impressive coming from you, Dato. So I guess now the audience will know more about the government policies on what the national agenda and what Malaysia can actually do to help all sorts of different agriculture sector, which is it is allowed this effort. Dato. Our next questions from audience goes to Mr. Kamarul. What are the suggestions or advice that you can give to our small or medium agri communities who wants to explore, especially in the new drone technology?
Right.
Encik Kamarul.
Sure. There are many ways to do this. Of course, if they have the capital, they can purchase those drones. But my main suggestion is really to do this safely and in compliance to regulation.
Okay.
We can help them train. We can actually get them certified by CEAM as well. So that's one area. But of course, another way as well, use people like us. We can take away that requirement from having that capital investment. We can you talk to us. We can operate even tomorrow anywhere in the world, and we bring together these years of experience from operating around the world, and we are focused on actually delivering value. I know it sounds like I'm doing a plug here,
marketing, right?
but it's not really. I mean, to me, it's about the safety. If we think about this, that what we are doing here is actually about delivering the value for them.
At least,
right?
you can help. Yeah, at least you can offer help, right?
Correct. So the thing is that you need to be trained in using those drones, and then you need to know how to handle these chemicals. This chemical can be hazardous and all that, and most importantly, you want to know how to apply this effectively as well. And even if we take a step back as well, it's not just about flying and apply this evenly. Then you would then need to have understanding and control over the precision agriculture aspect. So it's not that you just apply them evenly. You want to know about the condition of your plot. What does it? You apply it according to what it needs, so you can save your cost there as well. So there's a lot of component that comes into it. But you can learn. You can come. We can work. To us, it's all about uplifting the effectiveness of our operation of the plantation. That's what I mean.
Very interesting. Okay, before I go to the next question, I think now we have posted our Q&A quiz kat itu chat box. So for para hadirin sekalian lah. So kalau so you are welcome untuk menyertai this quiz. So ada hadiah yang menarik untuk menunggu anda. Okay. So our next question goes to Mr. Loy from the audience. Currently, actually, we know when I go to supermarket, I can see there are a lot of farm fresh milk product in terms of milk, milk chroma. If you compare to previously, I actually drank the farmhouse. So actually, I saw your brand name. The local one. I think we should support our local brand. So I pick it up and. Apparently it tastes almost the same with the farmhouse, and so this is another good effort from our national agropreneur. So the question to you now is what is the farm fresh strategy to meet the increasing domestic demand for the local dairy products? Mr. Loy.
Thank you, Kenny, for supporting Farm Fresh.
We should.
Yeah, we are very grateful. There are so many Malaysians actually supporting our own local company here, Farm Fresh. I remember the earlier years when we set up, it was very, very challenging. But thank God, today we emerged as a #1 Farm Fresh fresh milk brand in Malaysia. Now, I think to answer the question which Farah put forward, in terms of what would be our strategies and plan to meet the increasing demand, right? So I think we have experienced a very, very strong growth over the past years, that every year we see a very strong growth in our demand of our product. Now, you see, in agriculture, particularly dairy farming, I think lands are very, very scarce and lands are very expensive as well. So I think the technologies that we need to apply behind it is also very important, in a sense that, in the coming years, for example, like what I was saying earlier on, the IVF technologies that we are applying, because the same cow that produce 15 liters and the other cow, if you can do 20 liters for the same space, for example, right? So this is all the process improvement that we hope that we can achieve via our genetic IVF technique that we're going to apply. So we're going to have, say, maybe in 7 or 10 years, most of the farm cow, will inherit the top 5-10% of the best cow in our farm to actually multiply them, and then with the same amount of space, same amount of workers, for example, right? Then you'll be able to increase our milk production per farm, let's say, for example, by another 50% or 70% by basically using the same area. Okay. Now, the other thing that we were saying that is very important, as I said earlier, on the ESG, because I think we are very mindful as we grow. We do not want to be a nuisance for our downstream people, whereby, you know, you actually discharge all your waste to the river, and then it get polluted. The people downstream get affected. So we also realize that this importance that environmentally it have to be done in a sustainable manner, and therefore we also invested, you know, into the slurry separator system, meaning that all these the waste, our manure, and all these are actually being pumped to a decanter. We actually separate them, so the solid and the water we separate it. And what happened is that all those waters are packed with nutrient. We actually pump it across all our farms to ensure that, you know, it also irrigates all our pastures as well. So by doing so, we also be able to reduce our the chemical fertilizer usage. All right, in the sense that, you know, they get the water nutrient from our recovery system, and therefore it actually produce. So instead of 1 acre that give you, say, 5 tons of grass per acre, right? Now we are able to achieve maybe 8 tons or 9 tons. So by increasing the yield per acres of our products in terms of grass and all this, and that feedback to our dairy system will also reduce our costs as well. So I think there is a bit of a ecological system that we need to balance out, in a sense that, you know, we are able to improve our yield with the same property that we are operating. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you for your perspective, Mr. Loy. So I guess we are running out of time. So I think there's one question left, and this question will also goes to Mr. Loy. How does the Farm Fresh address the problems of rising production costs at the same time continue to maintain quality and price, Mr. Loy?
I think this is really a tough question. I think the over the past 1 year, the amount of feed cost increase is just unbelievable. I think we have been in the business for almost a decade. You know, we never seen a price that increased so quick and so high. So I think really it's a suffering for a lot of our farmers, that, you know, you suddenly realize that, you know, if the produce cost didn't increase, right, to compensate for that. Honestly, a lot of farmers could even get out of business, because, you know, you can't sustain. So we are hopeful that, I'm not sure whether the situation will improve or not, because I think the global supply chains are still very, very highly disrupted, in a sense that the vessel that coming in, you know, not only the delay, I mean, the delay you still can bear with it, but I think the incremental costs, you know, that have gone up per ton basis. So hopefully the pandemics can go behind us soon, and you know, we are looking forward that, you know, next year that the price will also, hopefully that it can normalize back, or at least soften a little bit. Otherwise, I think it is really hard for us to hold on to our cost in terms of our pricing to the consumer as well, because it's so much of pressure in there.
I agree with you, Mr. Loy, because I'm an economist myself. So from the economic perspective, yes, last year, I think because of the pandemic, MCO lockdown, and globally, all the countries almost they are doing all the providing the stimulus packages and money flows into the commodity cycle, right? So to bring up all the price. So when now coming to when inflation's expectation is higher, so now I think the global central banks are looking on, especially the US. They are looking at the taper tantrum, right? Now they start. They will start to discuss how to reduce their bond purchases, right? So for starting and it's anticipated end of this year coming to next year. So like what Mr. Loy mentioned just now, so we hope that when this the taper tantrum started with all the asset purchase program ended, so money will flow out from the commodity cycles. So I guess from there it will ease the global commodity prices, which leads to the decreasing in feed costs, right? So we hope for that, right? Yeah, Mr. Loy.
Yeah, otherwise, Dato KSU will have a lot of problems because all the farmers were running for her to ask for help already.
Yeah, so I think from the KSU and Yang Berbahagia Dato and Ministry of Agriculture and Food, I just joined in 1 year ago, but this 1 year basically the pandemic. During pandemic, we heard a lot of initiative, a lot of helps, and guided from the Ministry of MAFI lah. So we actually it helps a lot of the agropreneurs, farmers, nelayan, yeah, especially pandemic. We can see this agriculture is in the limelight, right? So if compared to like for example last year, almost all of the economic sectors are in the contraction mode, like constructions, manufacturing, but it's only agriculture is still doing. We are still on the bright spot lah. So it's good to hear that lah. So we allowed the governments that actually helps, and with a lot of grants, right? Initiatives that helping the communities. Okay. All right. So now, my dear audience, ladies and gentlemen, so I believe that all of us have well done through this event. So it is my pleasure that we had a fruitful and lively discussion to share some thoughts, some insights through, though I think 1.5 hours is not enough, right? So next time maybe we should go more, Dato. So in this event, where the main theme was accelerating transformation in agriculture through technology. So in here, we wanted you to understand the knowledge sharing points in segments like policies, drone technology, and dairies industry, with the promotion of a mutual understanding among the participants through this event. And I observed that our excellent perspective from all our panelists and the Q&A sessions with the audience. So I can conclude that the purpose of this event has been completely accomplished. So now I hope that you all will have a better understanding about, I guess now, yes, by bringing new technology to accelerate the transformation in agriculture industry on the same page, right? At least now the audience also can know more from us, and especially from Yang Berbahagia Dato, from the government side. So finally, on behalf of Agrobank, I would like to express my appreciations to all our honored panelists and participants for taking time out of your busy duty, especially Dato, right? I know you are having a very important meeting, but you still spend time with it. Thank you very much for you. And to attend this event, and to all my fellow colleagues as well here for your assistance, to make things happen today. And so now I would like to express my especially sending the excellent participants and panelists to this event, yang terutamanya Yang Berbahagia Dato, KSU, Encik Kamarul, and Mr. Loy. Thank you so much for joining us, and audience, thank you so much for having us. So if you have any question related to agriculture, financing, you can always visit our HQ branches or our website at www.agrobank.com.my. So with that, I would like to close my remarks and officially announce the end of this event. And here I wishing you all the very best to all the panelists and participants. Thank you very much for your attention and time. Terima kasih and salam sejahtera. Thank you.